This is going to be controversial. So someone finally has brought up in a private message, by the way, classic car argument versus property and the appreciation and it being tax-free. Now, I preach a lot about buying your own home, and even if you have to use a massive loan-to-value mortgage, it doesn't matter because the increase in capital is 100% tax-free because you've lived there, and it's a great way of leveraging finance. And you can pretty much do that with classic cars or cars in your personal name. Now, I'm a big car fan, so I recognise this is a massive incentive to own something which is luxurious and something that you want other than property, because you can't just have properties and nothing else. And as my brother once said to me, you can't wear a property or you can't drive a property. So I get the argument, and I'm kind of, on your side with this. I think having multiple different types of assets or money parked in different things is a great way of diversifying and keeping yourself quite lean and keeping yourself quite sharp in terms of different returns. So I recognise cars is one of them, and I own cars, and some of them I've lost money on, but some of them I've made money on tax-free. So this is an argument that I'm not going to argue with quite hard. But here's the thing that I think people fail to realise, as well as stocks and shares. When you buy a house and you buy a classic car or a supercar or stocks and shares, some may outperform each other than the next. There's no bones about that. And there are tax incentives and tax efficiencies and ways to benefit tax efficiently from all different types of asset classes. And we know the property in your own home is tax-free when you come to sell it, but you need to buy somewhere else. I guess that's one of the arguments. But with property as a general asset class, you get two ways to earn income, and you get a third, which reduces debt. Now, the first is capital appreciation. As the property goes up, you benefit from the value of that increase. If you own it in your own name and it's where you live, it's tax-free. But even if it's not, it's a tax-efficient way to increase your wealth. And you only pay tax when you sell it. So you're increasing your wealth, but you don't have to pay tax on it. But you can borrow against it. Now, you can kind of do that with classic cars, but it's a little bit harder and what have you, and it's unregulated, whereas you've got a bit more protection with property. But unlike cars, if you own that property and you decide to rent it out, you still get the capital appreciation, but you also get the income. Now, you can't do that with cars unless you decide to rent them out, which there's a whole host of issues with that argument. So you get a second form of income. You get the cash flow. Now, the third benefit is debt. Now, debt can be used to buy cars, stocks, and businesses. So this argument goes across all different asset classes, but property only has all three. And debt gets eaten away by inflation. So what is a stretch today, especially if you're young, whereas you borrow 100% of the mortgage, let's say it's 100,000, in literally 30 years' time, 100,000 might be a year's salary. That means that the inflation rate over decades has eaten away the value of that debt, but the property should be worth 3, 4, 5 times more. And what level of cash flow have you earned from that property in that time? I think if you look at all of those three factors, and I'm not saying you can do all three on one property at any given time, and sometimes you can't do it because you're living there, but property asset as a total class overall gives you multiple streams and overall better performance.